Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So today's classic album inspection, 50 years old today, September 25th, 1972. Black Sabbath's Volume 4 album, their fourth album. No price for guessing there. This is seen as a seminal Sabbath release. So let's have a dive into it. I'll get my sort of cards on the table with this. I've never quite got this album, and I think the principal reason is I never heard it at the time. So when I was younger, we had Paranoid and I bought Master of Reality. And obviously Master of Reality is one of my favourite Sabbath albums. And then we had Sabotage. And later on in the sort of 90s, I managed to, I got a copy on vinyl of Volume 4 and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Now, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath I love, but I've always found Volume 4 a little bit of a mishmash. I'll dive into it and I'll give you my sort of reasons. For some people, this is the best Sabbath album, or one of the very best of the Osbourne era. But I think there's better ones. But anyway, so I think you can group the Sabbath albums with Ozzy into kind of three sections. You've got Black Sabbath, Paranoid, and Master of Reality, which is the straight ahead, heavy stoner rock albums, stoner metal, doom. Reaching their crescendo with the Master of Reality album, which is one of the all-time great albums of that genre. And Tony Iommi tunes down his guitar bit on that, I think, come 3 half steps. So it's a massive influential album, but what marks those out is there's a simplicity to them. Take the first album's just bass, drums, one guitar, Ozzy's vocals, it's recording something like a day. Paranoid, a little more in depth, but essentially keeping that format. But introducing some Planet Caravan and more kind of soft elements. And then the same with Master of Reality. Master of Reality just takes that formula to me that they'd arrived at. It's not really a formula, and just what's the word I'm looking for? Makes it perfects it. So Volume 4 I would put in the next group, which is Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Sabotage, and I call this kind of prog Sabbath. And what I mean by that, the band started to stretch out, be more experimental in the sound, introduced more piano, keyboards, orchestration. Tony Iommi starts to do guitar harmonies. He starts to multi-track guitars, or do usually he's double tracking by this point, but often he'll add extra parts on. And the kind of breadth of the sound stretches out more. But what principally differentiates this album from Master of Reality is a weed album. I imagine when the band were playing that, they were probably like stoned quite a bit, drinking quite a bit, and it's got that kind of intense, heavy focus. Now this album's dedicated to the great Coca-Cola company of Los Angeles. Basically, they went out got a mansion in Bel Air and just took shitloads of coke and drank, and it's a cocaine record. There's two factors with that. It's got a kind of brittler sound to me. I don't actually like the production on this album. This is the first one produced by the band. The other three ones were done by Roger Bain. Patrick Meehan, their manager, the scandalous manager, gets a credit, but principally it's the band, mainly Iommi, produces this. But the sound's slightly tinsely to me, which, yeah, that's kind of more of a cocaine kind of sound, and it's a little indulgent at times, and cocaine's a mean drug. And we'll come to all that. But like I say, some people swear by this song, but Ohms and Wheels of Confusion is 8 minutes and 2 seconds. And really, this has got kind of three sort of elements to it. It's got its intro riff, and then it goes into the main riff. It's got a middle section, and it's got an end section that's completely different. Sabbath are renowned for the kind of time changes or mood shifts. It's just a little more disjointed to me, this. I don't like the final section. The rest of the track's great. I think what stands out on this is Ozzy's vocals have been improving, and he really comes into his sweet spot here on this album, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Sabotage. He's starting to hit kind of purer notes. He's getting more range, and his melodies on here are great. You can hear the sunshine in this. There's a lot of kind of the Mixolydian mode in a lot of the vocal melodies. For the uninitiated, the Mixolydian mode is effectively a major scale, but the 7th note is down by 1 semitone. So it gives you that happy vibe, but it's just not as happy nursery rhymey as the major scale. He's again double tracking the guitars on this, but I think the first thing you notice is the drum sounds pretty hard hitting, but it's mixed too low for me. But the cymbals are very brittle on this, they're quite tinsely. And I don't think the mastering's great on the copy I've got. It's the Sanctuary remasters from the 90s. Might sound better now. And the other thing is, Geezer's bass seems quite, it doesn't, you know, on Master Reality, the bass and guitar are almost fighting each other, and you get that amazing sort of thick sound. And it hasn't got that here, but fair play, it's a different sound from that album. So yeah, I like this track. You know, some people might swear by it. I just think I'm not as into the end section. For me, you just could have cut that off. Next track, Tomorrow's Dream's really good. It's just 3 minutes 12. The other thing you notice here, though, is the change in the sound. This has got that kind of slightly thicker sound, and there's one of the things with the album, the kind of balance of the mix and the balance of the different sounds of the tracks doesn't always gel to me. But then again, if you're, you know, not getting a lot of sleep, banging Charlie up your nose, you'll lose perspective, which is what happens often when people take a lot of drugs when they are recording. Sorry, I'm sounding really straight here. Anyway, but Tomorrow's Dream's really good. Again, Ozzy does a really good vocal on this, and I really like this track. Now you got Changes, a track everyone knows. Now this is a lovely track. It's in 3/4 time. Really good piano, really good orchestration, good Ozzy vocal. My only criticism of this, when I was listening to it recently, it just feels like it goes on a verse too long. It's 4 minutes 45. Once it's had a couple of verses, and there's a little instrumental break, you think the song's ending, then it comes back in with a verse, whereas I would just listen to it. I don't think it needs that. Other people, again, you might just think, yeah, what's he talking about? So I really like this track, but again, there's just a little arrangement thing for me on that. Next is FX. This is just an instrumental. Allegedly, Tony Iommi was naked off his head in the studio and just dancing around making funny noises on guitar. Yeah, classic cocaine indulgence. Yeah, it doesn't, you know, sometimes you get cool little pieces like this by Tony Iommi. This isn't one of them. I could skip it. A better example of this would be Deep Freeze by KK Downing on the Rock and Roller album, which is a really cool feedback piece, which I think works really well. But anyway, Sabbath were kind of that band who kind of started that idea of putting a little instrumental kind of interludes on albums. Side one of the original finish was Super Naught, one of the all-time great Sabbath tracks. A great riff on this, cool harmony on this. I think White Zombie did a cover of this, really good. Again, Ozzy's bringing that kind of Mixolydian sound into the vocal melody. It's actually got Mixolydian riff in a Mixolydian mode. Again, so it's got like a happy vibe. It is a quite sunshiny album. You can hear, like, you know, they're out in the sun, obviously, in between, you know, doing their thing. So this is a great track. I'm not so keen on the breakdown in the middle of the drums, but yeah, it's a classic Sabbath track, and it's not like a track they've done before. This is a completely different kind of track, I think. Than Sabbath had done prior to this, and that's great. So side 2 opens with Snowblind. Now, when I was a young nipper, the Paranoid single was reissued in 1980, and this was the B-side, so this was a track I always knew. I think this is one of the best tracks on the album, maybe the best. Really good. Snowblind, I wonder what that could refer to. Yeah. So they're well aware of what they're doing, but this is really good. I think sometimes you notice like things like the tuning on the guitars. Omi's kind of got a pick part going to the top of this. And sometimes the tune's a little sad, but that's one of the things you notice more on earlier recordings when bands don't have the access to sort of electronic tunes or more precise tunes or maybe more precise setups. So there is a little sourness there, but like I say, a lot of people, you know, it's just one of the things that happens in recording back in the day there, like some AC/DC albums, you know, those guitars can be pretty out of tune. But it's a great track, brilliant. And then you got Cornucopia, 3:55. I like the lyrics on this. It's about shopping malls. That's really interesting. Geezer's obviously gone to the shopping mall pre-Dawn of the Dead and just seen the mindless consumption. And obviously Cornucopia is like a place where food's left in it. I don't know what era that comes from. Probably Druids or something. But it's a good track. I really like this. Again, it just kind of meanders off a little bit in the middle. But it's a good track. And then you got Laguna Sunrise, sorry. Again, Laguna Beach is in California. This is really nice. Tony Iommi, nice orchestration, lovely guitar. If you listen to it pan left and right. Not sure what tuning it's in. Might have a drop D tuning, but I'm not sure. But this tune is 56, so it kind of predates Fluff, really. Obviously, Iommi does his little instrumentals on Master Reality, but he's developing them more here, and this is nice. Then it comes to some Vita Stance. Again, tune is 30. This track just doesn't go anywhere for me. it's got a good riff. It's got, you know, it kind of gets going, but it's almost over before it kind of decides what it wants to be. And then it finishes with Under the Sun, and this was a track the band played live on their final couple of tours. Again, I like the kind of first 3-4 minutes of it. It's really good. It's got a really heavy riff, great vocal from Ozzy, but it's got an end section that kind of recalls kind of Fairies Wear Boots or something like that, or War Pigs, and it doesn't need that to me. So I think there's a couple of arrangement things, like I say, changes in this track, where, you know, it's 42 minutes and 18 now. You know, they could have knocked off for 2 or 3 minutes just to tighten stuff up. But there's maybe a little loss of perspective, you know, because they're off the heads in California. Yeah, there's a big like reissue of this you can get, you know, where it's remastered as bonuses and that. Like I say, for some people it's their favourite Sabbath album, or the second or third of the Aussie era. For me, I would probably put this, you know, I certainly prefer the Sabbath Police, Sabbath, Master Reality, my 3 favourites. I probably certainly prefer Paranoid, Black Sabbath, and probably Technical Ecstasy. Now that's controversial. But it's just one of those things. I think I had it at the time. I would kind of get it more in the flow of things. It's just coming to it slightly later when I did. I've just never totally warmed to it the way I thought I would. I've tried to. But anyway, I'll give it 7 out of 10. For a lot of people, it'll be a 10 or 9. But 50 Years Old Today, a seminal album, Black Sabbath Volume 4. So I'll see you again soon. Remember, share and subscribe. And see you again for some more classic album inspections. Thanks very much.